So that was and is a real part of Orkney life that Fiona took as inspiration for a poem. The next one, I think, is a work of fiction, and Jacqui's going to come and read. We've already had reference to boiler suits in sizes 10, 12, and 14. How many people here, show of hands, would know what a Doreen is? And it's a garment. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it will become clear what a Doreen is, and Jacqui will explain all.
When I was young, not quite 13, I proudly wore my first Doreen, a present from my mother. What confidence, it fitted right. What modesty, all pure and white. But I cannot buy another. In 30 years, the nation's changed, our female form has rearranged. Its average proportions, the bodies who'd endowed the most, now H-sized cups can proudly boast, while doing their contortions. While the nation's chests developed, your bras evolved and have enveloped various shapes and sizes. Please don't forget those who are neat, who can still look down and see their feet, but don't win any prizes. I weigh the same, I'm just as tall, but now your bras don't come as small. In shops I have to hunt number 34As, you start at B. Amused assistants grin at me with my arms across my front. This summer, I'll be 24. I'd like a Doreen just once more, but I won't make an issue if A-cup bras are of the past. I'll try to make mine and make it last. Then stuff new ones with tissue. And I'll just say, I don't think that would be a work of fiction, because when I was 12, I got a panty girdle as a present for my mother. Thank you.
What can I say? The Doreen garment is made by Triumph International, not the same company that make motorbikes. I sent them an email and a copy of that poem, and I got a reply, which that was the first thing that surprised me, and the second thing that surprised me was they said they're going to feature it in the staff magazine. So, anyway, from one flight of fantasy to another, Ronald is going to come and read Jimmic's Pet Coo. Now, Jimmic, our uncle, Fiona's uncle Jimmic, was married to Crucible. They lived up at Cleat Farm and farmed dairy there. And I can remember when this hall was laid out the other way and the platform was up there, Fiona wanted to contribute something to celebrate Jimmic's retiral as church secretary. And not only did she write a poem, but I think the coo also made an appearance. You were half of the coo. So Ronald is going to come and read Jimmic's Pet Coo.
That's good that Les has done a lot of the background explanation. I was part of that farming outfit when Jimmic retired, and this poem links both his kind of retiral from the farm and his retiral from being the secretary of this church. And as he says, it's a work of fiction, but quite well put together. I'm Jimmic's pet coo, but he doesna milk me noo. For the day that he retired, that young Harold had me fired. He used to call me Dempsey, he treated me so sweet, but I'll no tell you what he called me when I tramped up his feet. Now, I followed Jimmic round all day, he was such a clever chap. I watched him on the computer, he used to let me have a tap. He taught me how to read and write, he learned me how to type, and soon I worked as copier just by getting me tail a swipe. He liked twa other coos forby, suitcase and lollipop, but both of them gied and dried right up before the quotas made them stop. Jimmic had me running cleat before young Harold came to start. The first day he was left in charge, he sent me to the mart. The mart was awful busy, the office in a flurry. I started answering phones for them, and so I saved me hurry. Harold should have kept me on, I could have been a boon. I'd rather still live up at Cleat than bide down in the town. But now I've got a great career, I view Harold with impunity. I'm the dairy representative of the European community. So I've come here to the kirk tonight to warn o' something sinister. If Harold got shot o' Jimmic's coup, you'd better head on to your minister.
Sublime, ridiculous, and everything in between. So we're getting near the end of our programme, and Fiona's older sister Linda is here, good, and is going to come and read a couple of poems which particularly focus on Westray. Fiona was a Westray lass, although she didn't like it to be known she was born in Edinburgh. But she considered herself a Westray lass. She lived there until she came to the town school, and then followed again family examples and went and studied in Edinburgh. Linda studied in Edinburgh, Nan studied in Edinburgh, Jacqui studied in Edinburgh, and that's where Fiona and I met. And we got to know each other over about a year before, in the summertime, at the end of Fiona's first year, my third year, she was looking for hands-up volunteers to come and help with a kids' holiday club in Westray. And I thought, well, I've never been to Westray. I mean, that would be a new experience. There must have been some other motive there, but I didn't acknowledge it at the time. So I said, yes, I'll come. In the meantime, I got an internship in London. So I spent 3 weeks in London, then 2 weeks in Westray, then 3 more weeks in London. If that wasn't designed to make your head spin, wait till you hear this. One evening, we had free time, and Fiona loved to swim in the sea. So she got a hold of some wetsuits that belonged to a defunct diving club, and 3 of us tore down. And while we were still trying to pull on our rubber trousers, Fiona was already in the waves, splashing about. But by the time we had finished, she wasn't splashing about so much. She was 100 yards out, shouting, help. So I had swum competitively at school. I'd done all my life saving. You know, I'd rescued a brick from the bottom of the swimming pool in our school. So, you know, I thought this was my moment. I had to do what a man has to do. Well, a boy has to do what a boy has to do. So anyway, I managed to fish Fiona out the sea, and that was when we got together. Now, as another example of Fiona's wit and wisdom, at the end of, in fact, before the end of that first week of our courtship, talk about whirlwind, we were on the Orcadia heading for Shappensey for the second week of activities, and I don't know what came over me. I said to Fiona, would you marry me? And she said, well, I would, but I don't know if I will. Isn't that great? So Westray was important in my story as well as hers. Linda.
Well, I guess a claim to fame for me would be that I was born in Westray, and there's very few folk can say that nowadays. What else? I'm probably one of the daughters that have lived in Westray the longest. Maybe my mother's lived longer in Westray than I have, but So maybe I'm being chosen to read this well, the last two dialect poems are quite broad, I would say. I'll see if I can do them justice. Being the eldest in the family usually means that you're responsible for the peedy ones. So after all you've heard about Fiona, you can understand what a cast I had with her. In fact, when I was 17, having just passed my driving test, Mum and Dad got off to Canada for a holiday. Can you imagine? Jacqueline was still in nappies, and I'm not entirely sure what age Fiona was. Jacqueline can probably work it out. But Fiona took ill while Mum and Dad were away. And the doctor, I can mind one day, he visited 3 times. That was the kind of cast I had with Fiona. But this first poem is called Heem, which just means home, of course. And especially the first verse of it, I would say she's thinking about the kitchen at school, at home. I mean, kitchens, when I was peedy, were the heart of the home. I mean, that was where the stove was. And you wouldn't go to the best room because you would have to light the fire. So everything happened in the kitchen. And right enough, we had a black flag floor, she mentions that. The stove sat into the great big deep stone walls. And of course, we didn't have any way of iron or clays, no radiators or anything nowadays. So the clays would hang over the stove. So she mentions that as well. So everything happened in the kitchen. We sat round the fire in an evening, yarning or knitting or whatever we were doing. That was just the heart of the home, I guess. All the younger ones or me have putting their glasses on, but I'll have a go without my glasses. Heem is where I hang me hat, where feather hangs his cape. It's where me gunny slowly warms, while airing on the rape. Aside the fire, sitting but, with bunnels on me plate, the dog is sleeping upon the rug that covers flags o' slate. But noo, I dunna gang that far, although I'm travelled too. And in me dreams, I mind the things that youngins like to do. I'm seen the wonders of the world, I'm sailed the ocean wide, but never have I seen a sea I'd rather be aside. Far at the back, I see the shore, the tides aye come and go. A course day comes, and I hear the stones as they rumble in the gyo. And out the front, I see the birds keeping watch upon their nest. They're just like me, with me family. Heem is the piece I like the best. And then Warland is called. The land is where we come fae, it's where we're going to gang. We're a' heeded for the kirkyard, we might no hae that long. But while there's day, the good book says we man work for all we're able. The land can gie us plenty work to put meat upon the table. The land around us tells a tale o' days o' long ago, when folk fae here lived simple lives and the pace of life gaed slow. When all they ate was grown nearby or catched fout the sea, and salted for the winter or dried as dry can be. The tatties and the aits they grew could feed them all the year. The bear could aye mak home brew, a simple kind of beer. The porridge made on Monday could keep them all the week, and if they pat it in the gurnal drawer, the thought still makes me sick. And noo, although with Tesco's the land still yields its bounty, the kye and base they raise round here are the finest in the county. The bairns grow up with healthy frames, all sturdy lads and lasses, and nowadays the council gives a record number of bus passes. I think the land has done us well. Folk live on and on forever. the highest life expectancy seems about hands with us forever. We seem to hae a healthy race, as here we tak our stand, proud to be Orcadian and to be living on our land.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Well, nothing good lasts forever, and I can find my piece of paper. It's not that one. Where are we? I think it's in here. When I was going through Fiona's papers, speak in front of the microphone. When I was going through Fiona's papers, I was delighted to come on a lot of poems that I knew. I'd heard them at a Burns supper, a wedding, a celebration, a retiral, the famous coup, etc., etc. But I found one I'd never heard before. It wasn't on the computer, it was just handwritten on a sheet of A4. And I had to sit down and read it slowly and read it through several times. It's in English, so I'm able to read it in my own language, more or less. And it was certainly the last poem she wrote in her life, I guess. At the time Fiona wrote this, she knew she didn't have long to go. But the poem, to me, is very much of her personality, living in the moment, not bitter or angry or feeling aggrieved in any way, but enjoying what was round about her, just delighting in everything that she found herself among, thinking about other people, thinking about their feelings, not just her own, and content, despite the circumstances. So this is, there's a little bit of explanation required. The poem's called In Ribadeo el Canton. So Ribadeo was the town we lived in Galicia. El Canton was the town square, and there was also a bar called El Canton that fronted onto the square. The barkeeper, it's the only time in my life I've been on chatting terms with bar owners and waiting staff. It was a great life. Was actually called Nemesis. He wasn't our nemesis in any sense that you would expect, but he was called Nemesis. The Consello was the town council, and the kids did indeed play football right next to all the tables. Ribadeo was on one of the pilgrim routes for pilgrims travelling to Santiago de Compostela. It was on the Ruta del Norte. So I think that explains everything. That'll put it in context. In Ribadeo el Canton. And this is the last poem this evening. Please go and make Jimmy work for his supper by buying lots of books and helping us raise cash to make sure that in future generations what happened to Fiona doesn't happen to women in 20 or 30 years' time. In Ribadeo el Canton. In Ribadeo el Canton, the tables drenched with sun. Some pilgrims sit and nurse their feet, but I sit all alone. So many faces passing by call out, "Hello, goodbye." I will not pass this way again. I'm going away to die. The barkeeper, my nemesis, serves water for my pill. He looks a little quizzical. He doesn't know I'm ill. Next week I will fly off from here to end my days at home. But for today I sit in peace, gathering memories in a poem. I've written to the Consello to thank the mayor and staff. I think it was a first for them. The girls tried not to laugh. The park is full of tiddlers, all heading the same ball. Their skills are estupendo. even though their limbs are small. Ribadeo on reflection, a lovely, quaint wee town. I will not visit here again, but always it's my own. Thank you, folks, for coming this evening, for your support. It wouldn't have been a very fun night if nobody came. So thank you for coming. I hope you've enjoyed what we've done. I hope you've enjoyed listening to Fiona's words. If you buy a book, I hope you'll enjoy reading or deciphering her poems and enjoying her short stories. And I think Fiona would appreciate our party night, enjoying her poems. Thank you very much. That's it.
Just one more thing to mention. I've spoken with a few people that say, particularly in the last few years, carrying cash on you seems to be a bit of a rarity. So if you don't have any cash with you at the moment, do not fear. There's a website that you can go to for any further donations that you would like to make after today. So the website is on the back of the book, if you have one. It's part of the Just Giving web page, which makes a really easy way to pay online. So the website is www.justgiving.com/fundraising/Fiona Cowan, Merry Dancers in the Sky. But it's a lot to remember, so if you just Google Fiona Cowan, Merry Dancers in the Sky, that'll take you there. And all the money is going straight to breast cancer now. So any support that you can give would be really, really appreciated. So thank you very much. And again, good night.